So this is going to be our fourth session of Legend of the Five Rings, first edition, but taking place in Rokugan in 1268. Scratch that, this is actually taking place at the very end of 1267. We have yet to get out of the winter of 1267. The calendar of Rokugan takes the winter as the last part of the year, much like the Chinese do, where they have the New Year just before spring comes along. So, last time, a single Ashigaru courtier, winterized on a winterized horse, rode up from the south road up to the border of the Kitsune forest and came up to the gate of Kyuden Kitsune. One of the guards intercepted the Ashigaru. They talked. The Ashigaru passed the guard a letter. The guard brought the letter to main hall, and one of the samurai Hatamoto there brought the letter to the daimyo. The daimyo read the letter, as short as it was, and pretty much announced, "The Mantis envoy has arrived."
Really?
So begins our session. Last thing you said, you're the last person to get a word in. You said, "I'm going to go get my full formals on." And I say you have them.
I am glancing at her friend from the Mantis clan here.
Magoichi.
Yep. And see his expression.
He has a expression that can best be described as someone just walked up and dumped a bunch of sake into his green tea.
Speaking of that, I'm actually probably going to have to get a tailor soon. Because I've only got 3 sets of clothes.
Oh, I see. Yeah. You know, the funny thing is you do get paid for your job, too. So you have 2 koku on you that you haven't spent yet. And you'll have 2 koku once the spring rolls around. So.
Like I said, I'm going to need to get some clothes.
The daimyo has been chatting with her Hatamoto while you guys have been doing your things. Then she turns and addresses everybody in the main hall and says, "I am gathering a small staff. And if anyone wants to come along and bear witness, you may take one representative from each clan and a bodyguard. No more. I don't want to feel like I'm bringing an actual force to oppose them. If we do find a force that is opposing us, we will have to either beat a retreat or accept a duel." At which point there's actually a bit of hubbub, but some of the Fox Clan samurai say, "Duels at this time would probably not be a good idea." Yukimura actually steps up and says, "As far as duels are concerned," Yamagi holds her hands out wide and says, "I'm going to be leaving in 20 minutes. Prepare as you must. Choose what you must. Make sure to tell Motosugi if you are actually planning on coming along with us as well." Motosugi is actually the ranking Karo of the castle.
Side note.
Yes.
Skillful riding.
Skillful riding is horsemanship. Horsemanship is one of the skills that you need to do cavalry. Guess what your combat skills look like if you're on a horse and you can't ride a horse?
Yeah, falling off.
You are limited to whatever skill you have in horsemanship. So technically, you guys are both infantry. Mm-hmm. You have a steed, and you can ride your steed. But to have horsemanship, slightly different thing. Have you noticed something about your little travel from Phoenix Lands to Fox Lands?
You left your horse behind.
Your steed, being a living creature with its own will, did not come with you.
Okay.
just so you know.
All right.
You're going to be riding a steed that's going to be loaned to you presently. If you want to come along.
I was planning on coming.
Because you're the Phoenix rep, and I think if you want to draft him as a bodyguard, you can. You don't have to do that.
I was going to ask.
Set my tea down and say, there is nothing better to do.
The Crane clan, even though they have some representatives still here, they are staying behind. And then Magoichi, he actually makes it known. You're nearby. He's speaking to Motosugu at this time and says, "I am the Mantis representative, but if I come along, I could be seen as siding against the Mantis with you. I want you to know that. Because of that, it's probably very best that I stay behind, not because I want to stay behind, but because that is probably the perception the Mantis will take. However, if you ask me to go, I request to either speak first or go to the rear, either one." Motosugu's response to that, he puts his hands on his hip and says, "Having a Mantis representative on both sides of the field would be awkward and amazing at the same time."
You want a hell of a picture. I'd be tempted to draw that. I'm bringing my set, the calligraphy set.
Oh, you can come fully equipped if you want to. I would not recommend bringing your war gear and stuff like that.
No.
Showing up as an envoy, if you show up fully armored, some guys will. Like Yukimura is getting his stuff on. Yukimura has some interesting armor, by the way. It's like you've seen the Fox clan have a tendency toward brown or russet colors, like a fox orange with black and white rimming here and there. His armor is actually like a streak red.
I don't want to say that was scorpion armor.
Invited as a bodyguard, wearing armor wouldn't be too out of line. So
Yes, you can choose to wear armor if you'd like.
yeah, I will.
Off into the realm of snow and meeting with representatives it is. The good news is that it hasn't snowed heavily yet. There's still snow scattered around. There's some is patchy. You see like rocks sticking out. There's this one field south of the Kitsune Castle where there's kind of a ridge on one side. If you're headed southward, there's a ridge off to your right that's probably like a good mile is too much, like a good kilometer away. And it's a pretty decent rise. And it's a nice, gentle slope going down into the valley where there is the road. And then off on the road on one side, there is a very small tributary to the one river for just a little bit, and then it starts splitting off and curving in one direction. It's in that neck where you guys are coming up. There's a good, like, farm field section worth on one side until you get the river. And there's a good section worth on the other side until you get to, like, where the ridge starts becoming foothills, really. Way in the distance, like miles distant, southward, you can see there's kind of a castle built onto the ridge somewhere down there. It's down there. And then also the ridge gets taller down there, too. So it's turning into, like, actual foothills and actual small mountains at that point. On the road, which is a good, 10-foot wide road, you can tell there is a mass of people on the way up. You see a lot of teal and black floating in that direction. You notice that even though you've got spotty clouds overhead, where you can see a little bit of hazy blue overhead for the sky, and then there's, clouds here and there, to the north, when you look to the north, there is this massive wall of cloud up there in the north, and it's humongous. Those are some of the tallest clouds you have ever seen. And speaking with one of the Shigenja that's coming along as representative, he looks over and says, "That's got to be the largest snowstorm I've ever seen. And looking where I'm looking, it's probably just a bit beyond the horizon, but we can still see it."
Would I be able to tell if this is an artificially influenced storm?
If you want to roll Shintao plus intelligence to see if anything supernatural comes to mind of this.
6K3.
I'm assuming you want to keep one of those many 9s you rolled.
Yeah.
Dude, play that war game. Play Clan War. So, you got a 27. A peasant would look at this and think that some magic or god was underway. You being relatively educated, I mean, you're from the Asako family. You guys are great at education. You know it's natural, but humongous. And it's coming from the north. It'll probably arrive here sometime. The pace of the envoy is essentially Morotsugu, Yamagi, 5 other Fox Clan samurai, of which Yukimura is amongst them. He's in armor, though. The other 2 in kimono and winter gear. Whereas the rest of you guys are in alternates of armor and kimono/winter gear. You came with a helm, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so heck yeah.
Using to keep the snow out of my hair.
Yes. Is yours more of a Jingasa, or is it actually like a...
Jingasa.
Okay, so yours is a Jingasa. Cool.
Honestly, Jingasa is much more useful for travel than a traditional
Samurai
decorated
helm?
helm. I have used this thing to cook, so it's just it's on my head.
Yeah. Good old Ronin style. It's like, I will survive out in the wilderness if it's just me, my helmet, and a bag of rice. Mm-hmm. And a knife, and a bow and arrow. Can't forget those 2 as well. There's more witnesses here than there are people from the Vox clan. Actually, are there? Unicorn times 2, Lion times 2. He had to come along. You 2 guys. Crane aren't present. Did the Mantis clan guy get forced to come along or not?
Asked to come along.
What?
Did it seem like he was...
He was asking to stay.
He asked him to stay, but he said that if there was a request... I guess culturally it would have been forced, I suppose.
What do the Fox think? The Fox are not going to pressure him too hard. They can put the note that, hey, it would be a great idea to have, that's a nice 20 right there. It'd be a great idea to have this guy come along. And so I'm going to do this. Roll on the table, dipshit. There you go.
Can I influence his decision?
Sure. How do you want to do it?
Just as I get prepared to go and see him probably sitting and drinking, right? Not like waiting for a response for...
Oh, trust me, he's not in casual clothes right now. He was attending court, and he can get his winter stuff on.
I just kind of approach, so I'm like in my winter gear, but not my armor yet. Like a prime opportunity to make influences in the proceedings of what's going to happen in the future.
He turns his head and realizes that you're speaking to him, and he says, "You have a point there. But am I the kind of man who wants to influence the future this way?
To be afraid of what others or your family would think of you for doing the things that you think could be right or could be where you need to be would be choosing to let people judge you.
He has like a positive sneer from that, and he kind of points in your direction, and I see why you have no family mon, but then again, I also see your point. He'll go ahead and suit up, but he will take no bodyguard. He actually will talk to the other 3 girls, and they have a very serious discussion. They're the last ones to get a horse, by the way. And so he's actually catching up. So he's at the rear.
I'll kind of keep somewhat to the back and wait for him.
Okay.
I just give him a nod and a smile when he catches up.
Actually, I lied earlier. There's 7 Fox Clan representatives, and there's 7 witnesses from other clans. The Lion, the Unicorn, and the Phoenix, weirdly enough. Gathering on the plains. There's a name for these plains, too. I think that's called the Golden Sun Plain. My map didn't actually have it written down.
Okay.
But, so this plain, you meet actually at the point where the river concourses out to the true south as opposed to southwesterly. And the road comes along. You guys got 14 in your entourage. There's a good 30 people in this entourage, 10 of which are Mantis house guards. So these people are not screwing around. It looks like there's a small cluster of Shigenja, and then there are some officers around somebody in a heavy cloak who has a wide-brimmed hat over the top of their head to keep off any potential snow. But it's not snowing right now. The horses come within 40 feet with each other. The daimyo rides out an additional 10 feet. The other representative rides out an additional 10 feet. Yukimura and Monotsuga come up to flank behind her. And he's alone. Whoever this envoy is alone. As they come to meet, Yamagi steps forward and says, I am Katsune Yamagi. I am the daimyo of the Fox Clan, and I will speak with you directly. He actually pulls back the hat so that it's hanging off his shoulders now, and you get to see his face. He's very much of a tiger of a man. He's got his hair is actually technically shorter, but pulled back into, weirdly enough, 2 chonmage, which looks kind of weird. But he's got a full goatee with a side mustache. He's wearing Mantis colors. Yeah, so you're kind of waffling it as it is. There's an immediate reaction from every other person there, besides the clan representatives.
Can I lean over and ask who he is? Kind of subtly.
He pulls back his hat. I am Yoritomo Doumeki. I am the champion of the Mantis, and you may speak with me directly. They're trying not to react to it pretty openly, but there's reaction to that. He steps forward twice and says, So, the Fox Clan. Wonderful little decision you made there. Nice of you to inform me. Yamagi steps up just 1 step. I thought it was more pertinent to discuss it locally with people who I thought were rational heads and to discuss it in detail. However, that turned out not to be the case, she said. A very flat smile from Doumeki as he looks forward and says, That's a bit of an understatement, I'd say.
I wonder how many people got shorter. As a player, what is a champion?
Oh, a champion can be something other than a daimyo. However, there are many daimyo in each clan. A champion is the daimyo, typically the daimyo that actually rules the clan.
Got it. So we're talking to the council head.
You're talking to the president of the United States of the Mantis.
Yeah. Oh,
The most samurai.
fudge!
The most samurai of the clan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fudge sticks.
It's not always the person who's the most politically powerful, but the person who wins the most contest in general for being the most samurai in the clan.
Yeah.
I think that's about the right way to put it.
Yeah. There are very rare instances in which someone that is not the daimyo of one of the major heads, it's the daimyo of the ruling family.
Yeah, this is not a good thing.
He steps forward twice and says, The Mantis clan, especially those of us who live on the islands, were almost destroyed by the spider. Very rude of them for them to do so. We were actually very thankful of the support that was lent to us by those of you who live on land, the Tsuruchi, the Moshi. And now that we have a little bit of strength and a little bit of our power back, and we actually own the islands that are our birthplace, now you take the time to say, we would rather not join the Mantis clan. Yamagi tries to match gaze with him. I meant no insult, but... And then Yomeki just steps in and says, of course you meant no insult. It's not like breaking off from a clan isn't anything that wouldn't be insulting. Yamagi says, I would still appreciate an attempt to have there be peaceable relations between the Fox Clan and the Mantis. Wouldn't that be nice? Yes, just let the Fox Cisco walk away. Sure, I'll let you leave. You can just walk away and not be Mantis Clan anymore. Go ahead and do that, he says. He puts his hands on his sides and just looks over. He's about a good half a head taller than Yamagi, too. Yamagi's a pretty tall, strapping woman as it goes. But Doumeki is a strong dude.
Yeah, making lots of notes.
You're pretty much writing things down as they're happening.
Yeah, and in between that, I'm starting to work on a portrait or something.
Yeah. A portrait of Doumeki would not be a bad idea. Yamagi anytime, because you're in her castle, right? But yeah. Domeki's right there right now, yeah. And he's probably going to be turning around after you guys talk.
I am so going to get my ass kicked.
Yamagi is formulating a response. You can tell she's cooking something up in her head. And Doumeki has his hands to either side and says, peaceable relations. That's always a nice thing to go toward, isn't it? Yet, what are they going to say when good old Doumeki, known for his even temperament and consistent diplomacy amongst all these beautiful clans like the Scorpion, or, the Crane, whose blood we gladly shed. What would peaceable relations look like at the cost of, oh, yes, we'll just let you walk away? Perhaps we would. Do the Fox wish to remain vassals of the Mantis in name? Do you wish to hide your presence and not send diplomats to each of the courts of the clans? How are you going to go about this, little fox? Yamagi says, I may be young, but I am not too little. I have the propensity... Oh, you're not too little. At this point, everybody's either like cringing or wondering how the hell they're going to get out of this alive.
I fully expect to die. So, hey, make this portrait perfect.
Don't worry, I'll let you roll for it in a little bit. To do it speedy and accurate, it's going to be an agility thing, but I think you've got that covered too.
Yeah.
Doumeki waves a hand and says, you could rescind your order, but what would that do to your honor? The fox that couldn't, the fox that said they would but wouldn't. Yes, a great way to start your little clan anew. And I, just letting my faithful families walk out from underneath me whenever they wish. Yes, the Mantis clan is a sorority that you can just leave and go as you could, little sister. Yamagi says, though your words ring true, in the end there will be a good diplomatic resolution to this. The Mantis and the Fox don't have to be enemies. Doumeki leans in and says, no, we don't have to. The Fox clan can continue being the Fox clan. But the question is, how long are you going to survive? How many soldiers do you have? How do your Scorpion neighbors feel about a sudden new Fox clan? I hear they respect the Hare clan quite a bit, don't they? What was your warrior school about anyway? At this point, Yamagi steps forward and says, I will not have you besmirching the abilities of our clan. What abilities would that be? Force magic was really nice, but it was better that you just held the fort against the Scorpion lines. And now, we're at this point. I'll give you all winter, he says. I'll give you all winter. Yamagi goes to speak up and says, no, he says. I will give you all winter, but when the spring comes, I will be here again. Kitsune Yamagi, daimyo of the Fox Clan. Let's see how you rule. He smiles, he laughs. He turns his back casually and walks away towards his horse. And quite honestly, yeah, he didn't even give Yamagi a chance to finish a sentence at that last part. He just kind of turned around and just walked back. Casually mounted his horse with one good sweep. Company! To the south. We're done here. Yamagi's going back to her horse, and she's talking between Motosugu and Yukimura as they're coming back to the group. You can't quite hear what she's saying yet.
I'm going to lean over and kind of whisper, I could have swore she sent word beforehand that she was thinking about doing this. At least I would have.
Toramon, remember the Unicorn Clan guy, Toramon? He leans over and says, I do believe she was attempting to declare it that one day and have the Mantis send out an envoy. Except they didn't send out an envoy.
No, they all walked out.
I'm wondering how much influence Yoritomo Kaneka has with Yoritomo Doumeki. That's going to be very key.
As far as I know, there's not much.
Yoritomo Kaneka, he was the leader of the Mantis clan delegation.
Oh, right. The one who kind of buttered off.
Again, I don't know squat.
The group gets together and Yamagi, he actually addressed everybody and says, that did not go as well as I thought at all. We have a lot of work to do.
Could have been a lot worse, Yamagi-san.
She just nods at you. She's actually riding past. She and her small group are riding with you. Toromon, being a unicorn clan guy, he pivots his horse where he's at and follows along. He's talking to her. He says, Yamagi, I can't think of any good way for this to come out. I hope the Fox clan is not averse to building fortifications. Yamagi's like, we're going to talk about this in a more detailed meeting. And, she whips her horse, hi-ya! And, the guys are going back. The snowstorm that looked like it was 22 kilometers away now looks like it's about 16. You realize it's going to be coming in close.
Historically speaking, how often has a sub-clan separated?
Believe it or not, it happens more often than you think. There's this weird thing where...
If I'm correct, wouldn't such a thing honorably be satisfied by a single one-on-one duel?
Could be done, yes. You're right, that can take place. You are correct. Historically, the Mantis clan has sucked up a lot of minor clan to be part of theirs. The Monkey clan got eaten by the Scorpion clan. The Falcon clan got amicably joined to the Crab clan, but the Falcon clan had the option of operating separately from the Crab clan because of how the Crab clan operates. I'm assuming before you guys get back to the castle, you want to do a roll on the site for your calligraphy. Your agility plus calligraphy to do it fast and accurately, right?
I'm spending a void point on it.
I'll put it this way. If you get a 25, you can do it well. The higher you get, the better you go.
7K4.
Oh shit. Your dice have rebelled against you, dude. Thank God you spent for it, right?
It's still not bad.
So,
no, more.
Yeah, that is a 23.
Short 2.
You're short 2, so there's a little bit of waver in it, and you're like, oh, dang it. And you're probably going to have to calm down later and redo it when you're not on the road. But you have your notes, and you have your initial portrait. You can try to redo this.
Okay.
You passed a good 15, so I'll give you one thing. At least you have notes. No one else took notes. You were the scribe for this. And you wanted to do something.
I wanted to watch the Mantis clan champion and see if his demeanor portrayed something more than just anger. Like if he had an alternate intention in the ultimatum that he was posing.
Go ahead. We can roll this. It's not common. Meditation. If you want to see if he's lying, it would be sincerity. We can roll meditation plus perception or meditation plus awareness. They have more of a social thing, but perception would be the best one.
And we were talking about raising levels, right? So increasing the difficulty. What's the traditional DC usually, or is it?
Traditionally, it's 15. Mm-hmm. And to try to read, honestly, he's putting pretty much his heart on his sleeve right now. It's going to be a 15 to try to gauge information from him. If you want to start picking out secrets, that actually needs a special technique or a spell.
So, meditation is 2, awareness and perception are 2, so it's always going to be 4, keep 2.
Okay. Not the best of dice rolls, but you can do it. Go to town. Yay. So, I'm assuming you want to keep that 8 and the 9.
That'll be what I'm keeping. So that'll be...
a 17.
Yep.
So you beat the basic score by 2, which is good. Better than not hitting it by 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the basic idea. First of all, he was pretty casual about how he, was pissed off. He was really inconvenienced. You get less of the idea that he was in a rage, that he's going to murder entire villages full of babies and young women. And more of the idea that someone sent him a gift box. When he opened it up, there was a pile of shit inside, and he reacted as appropriate. He's definitely not having a good day or week
or winter
month.
court.
Or winter court, yeah. You can't wait for winter to be over.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Can I assume he's staying at that other fortress?
You were not in a position to ask the Mantis clan champion what the heck they were doing with their time anyway.
I know, but can I infer that they're going to stay there? Because otherwise they're going to be riding through a storm.
True. They could... Ooh. That's the place the Crane are at, too. Oh, that wouldn't be cool, would it? Oh no! The Crane and the Mantis, of all the clans that are having the most problems right now are Lion and Scorpion first, Crane and Mantis second, then Crane and Lion third. That's where your big problem areas are. The Unicorn and the Scorpion go at it sometimes, but not as bad as the three I just mentioned in this era. So, yeah, that could be a disaster. Or the Mantis may be ballsy enough to just head for the coast. It's possible they have a ship on the shore, and they're just going to ride in that direction and go there.
That would be foolhardy, so I'm fully expecting them to hunker up. I'm almost wishing I could turn around and make it.
What?
Make it there. Because I want to see that confrontation.
Assuming it happens.
I mean, Magoichi is also
Do you want
technically riding with us, so you can also ask him, pose him the question.
Do you want to make a... You can ask him, do you want to also make a perception plus... It would be perception plus hunting. How good your eyes are at long distance catching things. So to look behind and see where these guys seem to be going.
It won't matter. Keeping both.
11.
I have no hunting.
Yeah, okay.
Like I said, I can't tell where they're going.
Yeah, you can tell they're moving on the road, but you can't tell any more details than that. You don't know the geography, and you don't know if there's any weird stuff going on.
I am going to bring this up as we're riding back. I'm not even going to bother hiding it. Probably by asking one of the other envoys, wasn't that castle down the road where the Crane were staying for Winter Court?
Yeah, they moved farther south to Kyuden Suzume. This is Toramon, by the way. Yeah. The pretty much half of the Crane went there. Now, here's what I know about the Suzume. The Crane would already have representatives there. So the two different delegations would be meeting. So that happened when they went there. I don't think that the Mantis have relations with Kyuden Suzume.
They probably do now.
The Fox
I'm betting that's where... Because I'm betting that's where Doumeki's headed. Because I wouldn't want to be caught out in that storm.
I don't know enough about the Mantis. Magoichi speaks up and says, they may have just turned south down a side road. These are the Mantis. They're not going to take the Imperial Road. They may have turned south down a side road and jetted straight for the port they have their ship landed at. The ship at port will probably weather a heavy storm better than a more flimsy building, because the building might get blown over. The ship would just rock back and forth. Your stomach's not going to survive it, but the ship will, if you see that logic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's a friggin' champion, so he's going to be up there power-wise, as far as I know.
Magoichi says, Doumeki's a pretty all-around guy. He's pretty tough. He's pretty smart. He's more of a tactician. He likes to fight dirty, because winning clean doesn't win you wars pretty often. And we've been fighting the Shadowlands throughout most of the time. Doumeki's also kind of new. His father was the previous champion. His father was a much more of a straight arrow and lost a lot more. Doumeki doesn't plan on losing. Sorry to say that, but yeah, just to let you guys know.
I'm going to politely bow out of this conversation and try to catch up with the actual boxes. See if I can corner one of them before we get there and suggest the possibility of a duel as a potential way out. I don't recommend it, but it's probably the best way that is going to happen.
On the way there, the actual response when you put that one forward, Yukimuro speaks up and says, this may be a possibility. It may have to happen that way. Yamagi says, one Aijitsu duel would be better than one battle. The snowstorm is incoming, but not quite here yet. And you guys do make it to Kyuden Kitsune in time. The horses go into the stables. And the stables get battened down, by the way. You guys find your way into the main hall. A lot of people are thinking about, hitting baths first, because you've just been out there, riding hard on the outside. So there's going to be a bit of a pause.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck with my formals for right now. Like I said, I've got 2 pairs of clothes, and they're probably both dirty.
There are servants to clean clothes here and wash clothes. Roll a dice of luck. 1! You're in this situation you think you're in. You're stuck in your formals. Actually, you may want to go get all your clothes, find the bathhouse, and arrange yourself a bath when you're next in line.
Yeah.
Being the Phoenix representative, you're actually be able to do so before, let's say, a Ronin would. Sorry. The bathing area is inside of the castle for the most part, but there's also a nearby hot springs, and there's also a nearby onsen that they operate just as an outbuilding to the castle, really.
I'm going to actually ask when the meeting is going to be, roughly find out how much time I've got before I need to show back up.
2 hours.
Okay. Then, yeah, I'll go to, the onsen or the hot springs.
What do you mean?
Where's he going to clean up?
Magoichi?
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, like, is he going to the indoor?
he's probably taking a quick shot at the indoor baths and then knocking right over to where. Funny thing is he was set to travel, so he's got traveling clothes on, and if he wants formals, he gets them from the Fox Clan. So presently, he's in traveling clothes. Because remember, he was the only one in the Mantis delegation that wasn't part of the Mantis delegation.
Yeah.
So
he was just part of the clan.
Yes, he was.
So he was staying with the delegation.
There is a meeting that is held. The Daimyo Yamagi actually brings aside all the members that are not part of the Fox Clan on the second floor, where in the main hall, A, they're setting up for a different event, and B, the Fox Clan heads are meeting down there, directly below you. So Yamagi is speaking with you guys up on top. Down below, the Fox are meeting. And she pretty much says what you would expect. Things did not go well meeting the Mantis envoys. We expect the Mantis may be launching an assault on our territories in the spring. If you want to depart, I recommend it. We do not have the ability to guarantee your safety here in these forests or here in this castle. It is a strong castle. It is an old and venerable castle.
I will scoot forward, bow my head, and say, I'm staying. Then scoot back.
I appreciate your bravery, but it is possible the Phoenix Clan may have use for you. Either way, I am telling you that it is no dishonor to leave the situation. The Fox Clan have made their move, the Mantis Clan have made their move, and now it is time for us to prepare for the next event. This winter court will be a little bit less festive than I expected it to be, but still, we understand the situation, and I will allow each of you the best possibility to report these events to your clan in a way that fully educates your clan on the situation. Should the Fox Clan cease to exist, I would like for you to have your own input towards that and describe it as you may. However, prayerfully, it is possible that Doumeki is simply angry and wants to take out his anger to satisfy his honor. If so, there will be blood. But we will survive in some form or another. Does any statements be made? The Lion Clan guy actually gets up and bows and says, The Fox Clan, I have always felt welcome here. I agree with the young Phoenix. If there is to be trouble, I wish to stay as well. Which, by the way, from the other two lions that are with him, that brings some eyebrows. But he then bows, kneels, and goes back to his seat. The Unicorn Clan actually just holds up a hand and then bows, realizing things are different here. He then bows and says, My Lady Yagami, I really wish we could send a message to the Unicorn Clan describing the situation before the time comes. However, there's a large snowstorm in the way, and I do not think our message would get through. He bows, goes back to his seat, and then looks at everybody else.
I will scoot forward again and bow and inform everybody that I will pass the word to the Phoenix, including the full notes I took about everything that happened, and request they pass the information along when I next contact them in a week and a half.
Toramon, the Unicorn Clan guy, he gets up and bows again and says, You did take notes of the proceedings when they happened, right?
Yes.
You have great foresight. What can I do to arrange for copies of those notes as well?
I shall make it. It shall be done.
Excellent. I would be very glad to receive copies. And so he bows in your direction as well and thanks, and then goes back to his seat. Magi then holds out her hands and says, Esteemed ambassadors from other clans, thank you for your patience. I hope that this entire scenario goes through far better than it is panning out to be.
At this point, even after she's addressed everyone, like at the close of the meeting, I will step forward and bow very lowly and say, You have been grateful hosts. I believe I will see my unusual circumstances to its end. I will be here.
Thank you, she says. Your presence was not expected, but then again, very few things along that vein would be. She allows you to rise in return.
As any good note taker does, they always put down their personal opinions. I'm going to try to edit those out to stay just to the facts.
You're doing it journalistic style?
Yeah.
Welcome to a new phase in Rokugan. Journalism on the rise.
It's like I'll have my impressions on like a separate page, so if they want them, they can have them. But that way it's separate from the actual events. Would that be a meditation to recall it identically as possible?
There's actually a special ability, an advantage for eidetic recall. However, Don't worry, you can use intelligence plus calligraphy to copy your notes down because you're not speeding through them accurately. You're going to probably sit down for an hour or so and go over your notes. So this will be, and make copies will probably take an additional couple minutes, so it'll probably be an hour and a couple of minutes on top of that, right? Going over everything, you'll be able to get this taken care of relatively easily. Doing notes, was there anything you were thinking about doing?
The two things I'd be prepping for, one would be the unmaking of the sword.
I have not forgot about that.
That will be a lot of purification rituals.
Oh God, yes.
And the other bit, I would want to meet with Magoichi.
Magoichi. Yes.
And get his opinion on the situation. Like what?
Have a sit down with him?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Go ahead then and roll your intelligence plus calligraphy. We'll see how this turns out.
6K3.
The dice are back in power. It's an 18 plus 8 for a nice 26. Do you want to spend like a full 2 hours on doing the notes and making really good copies? Also, it crosses your mind while doing this. It wouldn't hurt to make a copy for the fox or for the mantis. Like, we're being fair here. So,
oh yeah, especially since that's what the Phoenix are. They're all about fairness. I'm probably going to have to request a resupply of paper and quills and ink.
Can be done. Since you've done this for the court, you may add 1 point of glory just because you were essentially the nexus of accurate information about this event to the rest of the winter court. Here's the fun part. Magoichi and Matsuichi are going to have a conversation. Even though he's been known for sake,
He's just like, I'm trying to lay off sake, so we'll drink tea. So we're drinking tea. All right, let's take our drinks to the next room. And I'm like, okay. And he said he grabs his sake.
this time it's just tea, by the way, because the girls kind of want to do something that's unstressful. The girls are actually asked, if we make matcha through tea ceremony, would you like that? What they'll do is the girls are going to have one side of the room doing tea ceremony, and you and Magoichi can sit down in front of a pot of tea to start with and just converse about things. What do you feel like talking about with Tsuruchi Magoichi, the Mantis clan bounty hunter who found himself accidentally being the ambassador to the Fox?
What's your gut feeling?
About the situation. Gut feelings are something that I'm actually pretty used to. If this goes very well, there will be a storm, there'll be some blood, there will be deaths. Doumeki will never want to talk to the Fox again, but he's probably not going to raise them to the ground. That's the best thing that will happen. Like, I didn't have much time to know Kaneka. It was just that one incident. Kaneka and I didn't have very much conversation. We only were here for just a little bit together, about a month. But he struck me as being very pragmatic. Kaneka obviously had a conversation with Doumeki, and I'm willing to bet Kaneka may have painted it in his own colors. However, that being said, Doumeki, I know, is the kind of person he does not like just hearing from his closest confidants. When he first started up as the commander of the First Fleet, there was an incident where there was a certain Yoritomo samurai who would consistently give him
Misleading.
His reports always had a bit of flattery to them, you might say. There was a little battle with some standard Wako, and I heard this guy got kicked over the border of the ship when we had far more fire damage after that one. I wasn't there for that one myself, but this is the kind of thing that Doumeki does. He has no problem lashing out, and he has no problem lashing out at people who are lying to him for one reason or another. I haven't seen Kaneka. He wasn't there in the envoy, and I haven't seen him since he wandered out. I don't know if Kaneka would have touched that nerve of Doumeki's. That it's up in the air.
So if he had lost his composure while talking with Doumeki, probably, let's say, had a repeat incident of being booted somewhere.
I am willing to bet that his anger towards the Fox is one thing, and showing anger towards the Fox in front of the Mantis would be another. That would not be the reason for this to go bad. If it went bad, it would be because Kaneka painted it wrong, and it seemed wrong to Doumeki's ears. My gut feelings just tell me that bad things are on the way and I should hunker down. That's something else. Should it be the Mantis, the Yoritomo family we should be worrying about the most? At this point, the girls bring along matcha for you guys to drink. And it's actually pretty... It's very flavorful. These girls riched it up, too.
It does seem likely that there will be a skirmish between the fox and the mantis.
I can almost guarantee it unless something else gets subbed in. The one Phoenix was thinking about a duel. That might be a good idea.
There are difficulties with a duel.
The mantis don't like dueling. That's one of them. It's like asking the crab to a duel. They might as well spit in your face.
If it can be brought down to, I'm trying to think of the word, ritualistic, almost a war games, almost a mock war, where both sides were presenting their full forces, but also where the violence was.
Trial by combat. A trial by combat would be the best way out of this, if it had to be to war and it couldn't be a duel. However, trial by combat is it's almost never invoked in Rokugani law. You know how often trial by combat assumes that someone wants to fight this person because this happened, or blood feuds come out of that kind of thing. That's why it doesn't happen too often. You know how often samurai go to blood feuds? I mean, that's why I have a job. For feuds to take place, both daimyos of the samurai involved technically have to sign off on it. It goes for lethal duels and it goes for blood feuds. Otherwise, it's technically illegal, and the emperor can call in bounty hunters or magistrates to quell the affair.
Who is the current emperor?
Iway Hiroshi is his name. He's pulling up on middle age, but that's because the previous ruler, lived nice and long, and he's a bit of a reformist too. It was either 1261 or it was 1260 where he rose to power. And as a result of him doing that, people actually saw it as a hope spot because the previous emperor kind of let the Scorpion and the Crane do their own thing, which was bad when Bayushi Shio was in charge of the Scorpion. He was actually known as the Great Executioner for a freaking reason. He killed a good 104 samurai just on premises alone.
This is an idea that I'm going to write down as like a mental note to myself.
Yeah.
Potentially asking the emperor to step in.
Funny you mentioned that.
I want to shoot that idea past my clan before I bring it up to the fox.
Let's hit that in a second here. You are doing your notes technically, and you're having a one-on-one with Magoichi. He was going to bring up something else, right? Before you jumped in. Magoichi says, now, there is the Yoritomo that rule the Mantis. But when it comes to doing a lot of the hardcore fighting, and some of the most accurate operations performed under Mantis clan rule have always been by the Tsuruchi family, my people. The Tsuruchi family are not a minor section of the Mantis. We have done so much fighting, so much killing, so much taking up of objectives. The Mantis may take a shore, but the Tsuruchi will take the objective. I guarantee it. Besides, we're primarily a clan of archers. We've discovered that, congratulations, if you kill the enemy from afar, they can't do much up front to kill you, can they? Now, presently, Mitsushima is the daimyo of the Tsuruchi family. Mitsushima is a good guy, and he means well, but he's always been a little bit of a codger, and he's always been a little bit of leaning too far on the history books, and he loves to bring up old stories and old grudges. He was cursed by having 2 daughters at first. Now, the daughter can inherit the daimyoship, but it just so happened his daughters were not exactly low of par and did get married off. They have different family names right now. And that benefited the Tsuruchi. But the next son in line just so happened to fall in love with the Mantis woman, and he is fully in the pocket of the Mantis. The funny thing is that Mitsushima is literally looking at his brother's son as an opportunity. His brother had 2 children, a very cold-hearted daughter and a very stoic son. His stoic son is someone of interest. He's an extremely avid tactician. He served 2 different tours, actually, in other clans as a tactical advisor. He's very much a student of warfare. And this son is very much his own person. He actually prefers the ancient name for the Tsuruchi family. He prefers the Wasp clan. If he was to influence his father and his uncle, Mitsushima is not the kind of person that will stand by the Mantis doing something crazy. The Tsuruchi family won't be there. The only other possibility there is besides that, I could try. But with me, it would be a long shot. I'm right nearby. I mean, Tsuruchi-san is out there dill-vanting, serving some other clan right now. What was it last? The Lion? I think he was serving in the Lion clan. If he's lost in Lion clan territories and he doesn't have a summons to come back to the castle immediately, we can send a summons out for him. I could go and try. I don't have as much sway. I'm an officer. He looks at his matcha, contemplates it, and downs it all in one go. Swallows hard and says, that would help out more than anything else. If I could politically sway the Tsuruchi family to just sit back and let the Yoritomo family do its own thing. But if we could hold back the Tsuruchi, the most effective operators that the Mantis clan have would be out of the picture. There's more of a chance the Fox would be able to get an honorable win or an honorable loss out of this.
I think that is probably the best solution to this conflict. As things currently stand, the Mantis clan have the ability to, if committed, crush the Kitsune clan.
At that point, by the way, the windows start shuddering. There's a little bit of rattling on the roof.
Storm's hit.
That's one hell of a storm. I want to take a look at this in a little bit, but
It's the same Orochi that I'm thinking of.
if you haven't been already guessing what's going on here...
Is he planning on going to... He's not planning on going to Morning Glory, is he? Or is he planning to go to...
I'll pass it to you because he was just speaking to you about this. Tsuruchi Magoichi presently thinks Tsuruchi Orochi is in Lion Clan land somewhere.
He's not in Lion Clan lands right now. He's attending a Go tournament, if you know his manner. Orochi is attending a Go tournament in Morning Glory Castle.
Wait, Go tournament at Morning Glory? I heard a little bit about that. That's the one for all the nerds, right?
Yep.
Oh boy. Wait, your friend, the Asako guy, aren't his family the ones throwing it?
He's like, I believe that's correct, yeah. I don't have heraldry, and my character cares little about it. So, it's be like, you're right, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I do remember the name of the person they said that was responsible for sending me here, right?
Oh, the person
Maybe
responsible.
Miyuki said they thought that she was the one that caused me to come here, right?
You haven't really met them. You got the impression there are 3 or maybe more, maybe less, lords of the Kitsune, not the clan, but the actual species, the yokai. One of them is named Lady Miyuki, yes. And they do think that she may have been involved, but...
Being here in some way, but that might just mean that she might be most tied to the mystical powers of
The Kitsune are not known for teleporting people halfway across the world, so it might have been she may have been calling upon someone else, or that someone else called upon her to be her representative here. So you don't know how that pans out. You actually have not sat down with Miyuki. But by the way, she's a full-fledged lady. I mean, she acts like she's high-born. So have fun getting that audience.
Go back to Magoichi. Could a single message relay... Could you do it in a single message, is my question. To convince the Tsuruchi to consider their position in this matter. If you were able to contact Orochi before the end of winter.
Not my message, but if Orochi gets in the message, if it was directed towards his uncle directly and not towards his father, it would be great. He would probably be more in line and wouldn't be risking anything if it was toward his father, though. Because Orochi and his father have a really good relationship. And they get along exceptionally well. Whereas Tsushima has a tendency to, throw his feelings and insults where the wind is blowing.
Now follow me on this.
Yes.
Let's say I know who might be at Winter Court at Morning Glory Castle, and it's at the very. Is it near the very end, like the last week of Winter Court?
Oh hell yeah! That's the worst part. Yeah.
It's basically the last week of Winter Court. So there might be a small window, very small window.
Ooh! I just thought of something if you didn't. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. If a message could be read, and the person that I ask would be willing to relay that message, despite their status being significantly higher than mine. Do you think Orochi could do it in that window?
The winter would get in the way. There'd have to be some... I mean, do you have... Wait. He's in Phoenix Lands.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if the Shigenja have a way to keep in contact through long distance?
I believe our Asako friend that long-distance communications is possible. Then again, I don't recall Orochi getting any messages. So I would think that it would have to be after the experiences that I had to do. So it's just
you thought of the thing I thought of.
Yeah.
Does Matsuichi want to make a paradox? Because technically you're in two places right now.
Yeah. No, but Matsuichi would not want to. Would think that a paradox. Wouldn't think about breaking a paradox because he thinks that if a message gets to Orochi, it would have to be after he's gone, and the only person that he knows that he thinks that could actually be willing to consider that option would be
Master of Air.
The Master of Air.
Yeah.
Who does arrive at the end of it and does propose, convene with people. So the idea is that maybe I could have our Asako friend send a message to the Master of Air to give a message to Orochi at that point.
Thank you for bringing me aside and talking over tea. This is something I had not considered. You and Magoichi have been planning this out in detail. You're going to try to do the thing through Orochi first, through the Phoenix, and then while things being beaten, there's the winter trek.
I'm trying to think of a way to politely suggest that we have the Emperor step in.
Oh yeah. Dude, you actually had a very good idea there. Let me describe something. He is not a major figure, despite the fact he should be a major figure. There is a guy... Let me do this. I'm going to go through the list of who all is here in the ranks of the Fox Clan. So the Fox Clan presently, the daimyo is Yamagi, we know that. We know that Morotsugu is pretty much the older guy, it's her right-hand man. Now there's two Yoriki, the assistants to the Karo, right, that are high-ranking Hatamoto. Kitsune Kosa is kind of a monk. Kitsune Yukimura we've seen left, right, and tail of. Then there's also Kitsune Nakayuki, who is just a high-ranking Shigenja. Then there's Kitsune Ryu. Ryu is actually kind of a fighting Shigenja. He's one of the very few Sohei in the Fox Clan. And then there's Kitsune Shigemari, who is an officer of the Fox Clan military and is the highest ranking one that isn't also filling some other role. Most of the Hatamoto are Shigenja. There's a few noted samurai. Kitsune Muragame is just a Fox Clan warrior known for his archery. Kitsune Takakote, we've met him. He's the guy who got zapped by the sword. Kitsune Anzumi was a Shigenja you went to contact her friends amongst the Crane, to contact your masters amongst the Phoenix. So that actually happened that way. And we all know about Kitsune Miyuki Gyozen. Miyuki Gozen is the lady of the Fox who technically carries the Kitsune name because she is a lady of the Kitsune. Now, after all those ranks, there is a visiting representative that has married into there's some Fox Clan girl that he married back in the day. His name is Miya Kakujo. He is a monk, but he is also of the Miya family, and they are imperial representatives. The Miya family, in fact, has the role amongst the imperial types where they are the ambassadors and the heralds of the emperor. He is here primarily because he just loves the Fox Clan, and he loves that Fox girl, and he likes conversing with these people in their nice forested castle made of stone. So you can speak with Kakujo, and Kakujo actually is not opposed to hearing your ideas. He loves talking with people.
I'm assuming he's going to be at that meeting in 45 minutes.
Which meeting? Because
the one where she was calling to discuss everything.
We already role-played that one.
Yeah.
You were making your notes afterwards.
Right.
It was taking two hours to make the notes, which is why you had 2 hours worth of conversation with Magoichi. So something fun's going to happen in the middle of you talking with me, Kakujo. By the way, you know what's funny about the name Kakujo? It does not sound like an actual Japanese name, but historically, I took the name Kakujo from an actual guy in history. So it is an actual guy from history. Anyway, go ahead and make your approach and do a roll, but I'm going to also interrupt what happens with your roll with something else that happens.
What would that be? Roll be?
If you want to just influence a guy politically, it'd be awareness plus courtier. If you want to try any other method, please bring it up.
Thinking historically, if the emperor can step in, it can restore the emperor's prestige and possibly unite the clans better.
You're an intelligent guy. You have intelligence as a high spot, right? How about you present it as an intellectual conversation, almost like a debate of the imperial duty.
Okay.
You'll be putting your ass on the line a little bit, but you'll be able to roll better.
And it makes sense.
You can roll intelligence plus, you have history, right?
Yep.
What's your intelligence plus history?
6, K3.
He is not a slouch either. He can roll some serious dice. So you're going to have an intellectual debate with this guy. Go ahead and roll it. Alrighty.
Ouch.
He got a 10. There's a 10 in there.
Ouch.
What'd you get? Ooh, you got less.
Yeah, ouch. That would be a 22.
Give me a second here. However,
having 2 1s in my roll
doesn't help. Yeah, it doesn't.
22.
22.
It's not a bad roll. It's just, yeah.
16 plus 13 for a fat old 29. So he doesn't wipe the floor with you, but you did pretty good. But at the end of that conversation, he's running the conversation. He's talking about the Emperor's prestige will never die. But in this situation, I can see something.
It's a way for the Emperor to potentially take some of the Scorpion and Crane's powers away to reduce their influence over the entire court and bring it back towards him.
Funny you say that has a different voice. And people looking over notice something. Putting aside his winter gear, and there's a hat covered in snow laying off on one side, off in a little alcove. Down the alcove, down the corner, there is a guy dressed in black with a red scarf around his face. Someone you kind of recognize.
Oh, fud.
Sorry, I barely arrived with the storm. He steps up, but you do have a point.
And you are, sir?
Bayushi Yoshinobu. I was witness to the Mantis barging out earlier, and I decided, seeing that we really were going to get snowed in at the Humble Priest Village, that I would try my luck. And my luck has been tried. Here I am, therefore, alone, and actually appreciating your criticism of the situation. The Emperor should definitely have more glory than he does. I've just walked around the very end of this. I'm assuming some pretty historical events are going.
I just handed the picture.
That's Yoritomo Doumeki. That's supposed to be the daimyo there.
That was 4 hours ago.
Oh. The Mantis came faster than I thought.
Yes.
What kind of agreement was reached?
Notes.
Thank you, by the way.
I've got 4 copies.
I would like to request a copy. If the copies have all been asked for, I would like to ask for
No one has
additional.
asked for any yet, except for one. And send a copy to my own group. But,
I thought the Lion Clan also requested.
nope, they hadn't requested.
If you would like assistance making copies, I would gladly help you. It's better to have 2 scribes more than one. This is not subtle. This is not.
Turn to page 2.
Oh, it gets worse. Oh, damn, he says.
I know it's my personal feelings are on page 3.
He nods his head, having read those. I agree with you. This is heading in the completely wrong direction, but I think we have the right ideas.
The only other option that I personally see happening if the Emperor doesn't try to step in and solve the problem is the least bloodshed way would be a Aichi duel.
Yeah, Jitsu duel between the two champions, or between 2 chosen warriors. I don't think Doumeki is a standing duelist, but he could try. As far as the Fox Clan, I am not an expert on Fox Clan military. Oh, thank you. Yes, he takes them back. He holds them respectfully during the entire conversation.
The other is pretty much all-out bloody warfare, and as much as I respect the Fox, they will lose.
I imagine at this point I come in.
I do. I respect the Fox a lot, but
You know where you were standing when you said that, right?
Yeah,
You're in the hall.
yeah. But as you say, I respect them a lot, but by sheer manpower, they cannot stand against both the Scorpion and the Mantis, and they are stuck in between.
Fortunately, there is a Scorpion that has decided to be on the Fox side, and this Scorpion has not a little bit of weight with the military intelligentsia of the Scorpion. It's also very... He's going to make an intelligence plus... Is this enough dice?
Because, like I said, my character's looking at it. It's like, you got 2 major clans getting ready to battle over a small clan.
Essentially, yes.
In the middle.
Give me a second. The dice are cursed today. He's forced to keep a 3.
I'm going to walk into the hall, and a lot of people are going to be gossiping about what he just said openly.
What? Oh, dude, yeah.
I'm just like,
Well, it's...
The Fox are starting to come in on his position, by the way.
I don't want to be this criticism here, because, in all honesty, they made a good political move, but it was also a bad political timing.
Yeah.
I thought he was from the Phoenix Clan, not the Crab Clan.
Who was?
Me.
I just say it over.
Oh, you just say it?
I'll say it to the unicorn.
It's one of those... I personally don't see a better way. Doumeki is not a duelist. He is a general. He will act like a general.
To be fair, he's not won very many battles, but he's prosecuted some of the very successful campaigns against the Crane. Crane trade has been disrupted because of him, and though the historians have been looking at the battles, no one is making count of the fact that the Crane have been losing money.
Yeah. He probably is willing to think long term, but at the same time, he has no choice but to make some kind of a statement. An allowed one.
Yoshinobu bows in and says, I can guarantee you that Doumeki is a long-term thinker. Long-term thinking is exactly how he plans.
And go. You gotta think 15, 20 moves ahead. My preferred solution would have the Emperor step in as a mediator. My second solution would be a duel.
The most likely solution is going to be one hell of a war.
Of course, it's a matter of...
Because the Scorpion and Crane will see this as a chance to take out a pawn.
You're speaking in front of the Scorpion like this. One of the Foxes who's standing next to you at this point, he looks over and says, the Scorpion's taking this awfully well, being painted the villain in this light. And Yoshinobu turns over and says, I am from the Scorpion clan. I am used to being called the villain, and if someone wants to say that we're planning something military in the future, after a great war between the Mantis and the Fox, I'm not saying we are, but I can guarantee you the moment this starts making news and the messages start going down the roads through heralds, someone in the Scorpion clan is going to think of a way to profit from this. And it's going to be up to me to stop them from doing the worst. Go ahead and keep speaking. I'm willing to hear what you have to say.
The only other major players, as far as I know, around here is that border Fox territory is Scorpion and Crane. Mm-hmm. Is there another major player? It will not be fast, and it will be the death of 1,000 cuts.
That's the problem. The Mantis prefer fast warfare. Look at everything they've done, and look at everything Doumeki has done. Doumeki is specifically a fast strike warrior. I have never seen him prosecute long war.
How long would it take for a plea to the Emperor successfully go through and return and be announced?
In theory, I could have a plea to the Imperial Court by the end of within a month.
During winter, right?
During winter. However, that will literally be burning every single communications method I have.
Akakyoku steps up and says, the Emperor is presently attending winter court. I am a member of the Imperial family. What I can try to do is arrange a truce by proxy until better times such as can be arranged.
I personally don't see a reason not to go try for that. Doumeki, as everybody says, he's a fast striker. The fact that he's giving us till the end of winter is a blessing.
Probably going to show up on the first march of spring, says one of the other Fox. Oh my, that's right. Doumeki would be the one to show up just after the first thaw, wouldn't he? Yoshinobu opens up his hand and says, to offer up a comparison, I know for a fact if the Scorpion were to march militarily after winter, I could put through orders, and the orders might be enacted, and then let's say a Scorpion army, by comparison, might be moving middle-late of spring. The armies of Rokugan do not move as fast as one thinks they do, especially since most of us are infantry, and most of us walk to battle.
Doumeki didn't walk.
He did not walk.
One of the other Fox guy will step in. Hey, Doumeki actually has the finest fleet in Rokugan. He's got boats that are faster than everybody else's boats, and some of his boats have better armament than everybody else's boats. I mean, the Crab have the heaviest armored boats in Rokugan, but when it comes to having the best boats, as far as speed and firepower, that's a Mantis trait.
Can anybody think of a better solution And I'm willing to take any solution.
I know, and that's what I mentioned. Proxy war.
Yoshinobu lifts up his hands again and says, speaking of proxies, the Scorpion are well known for their unorthodox tactics, and one unorthodox tactics that I have been loathing that has been building up in momentum, but it needs to be unleashed at some point. The Scorpion clan does host a penal legion, where the penalty for joining is death, and the only way out is by proving you're worth releasing. Now, I do not have the ability to ask for this entire legion. Once the winter thaws, they could be down here relatively quickly, but we're talking about prisoners. But we're also talking about, if you want a bloody war that doesn't involve Fox clan blood, I have an alternative in the form of criminal blood.
Over in that situation is when some of them ran away and hurt the citizens.
We have means to execute deserters, trust me there. One of the Fox guys steps up and says, if you bring forces anywhere close to our lands, this means if you fight on our side, we'll have to owe you, won't it?
That's a given.
The Scorpion guy kind of holds up both hands and says, think of it also this way. If I let these prisoners languish in their legion, we have to worry about keeping these prisoners, and I have gotten tired of them. So it would not be the kind of thing where I would ask you something heavy for this burden to be taken off my shoulders.
Just out of curiosity, where is this prison legion at?
Nowhere nearly close, but if these men marched for a week, they'd be on Humble Priest Village. They are presently in the city of Zakyo Toshi.
Interesting. Pulling up my notes.
That's on the edge of the forest near
Yes.
Spider Clan territory, right?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Could you find out if you had I'm going to say the guy's name in that penal legion?
Wada of Nihai.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Wada of Nihai? He has to roll for it because it's not on the top of his mind. Holy shit, dude. He must have been a fan. Look at this. Son of a bitch. Do I have to roll more? Do I have to? Oh. That is a 21 off of one dice. I should go to Vegas. I'm not even going to count that out. He wins. Wait, Wada of Nihai wouldn't be anywhere near a penal legion. He's a folk storyteller, one of the better ones out of the Center provinces.
He's buried 8 miles away.
Excuse me? Says Yoshinobu.
I saw him die of corruption.
He shakes his head. Corruption, as in Shadowlands taint or the wasting disease?
Yes.
Sort of.
I helped kill him.
His eyes go wide at that, and he looks up at you for a second and looks aside. I'm going to take a little bit of a rest and compose my thoughts here. Is it possible for us to have a long conversation later?
Yes.
What the feel is about for the Kitsune and how they...
Do you mean Fox Clan or do you mean
Fox
Kitsune?
Clan. Sorry,
Yeah,
Fox.
okay.
The Fox.
I want to divide it that way because they're
Fox
the same
Clan,
word.
Fox Clan are the humans and Kitsune are the non-human.
Yeah, or the okay. Sorry about that. It's just endemic to the setting.
See if I can have a conversation with Lady Yamagi.
Lady Miyuki.
No, Yamagi.
Yeah, Lady Yamagi. Oh, the daimyo.
Daimyo. The reason why I need to find out the main motivation for her to separate from the Mantis clan.
Matsuichi is very interested in figuring out what Yamagi is planning.
So you actually want an audience with Yamagi, right?
At this point, yeah.
Looks like your chances right now are a little bit on the back burner.
Oh, I'm a Ronin, right? Yeah, right.
There's going to be like a lull in this conversation. I am going to hunt down the Unicorn Ambassador.
He's right over there, really. The snowfall is deep enough that somebody can take their katana, step outside and put their katana into the snow, and it almost goes up to the hilt. It's a good 30 inches worth of snow. And this is 3 days later, nonetheless.
Would getting my weaponsmithing to 4 at this point be too much of a question with the last session's XP?
You could do it if you want to, but weaponsmithing, honestly, at this point, is not the smartest of ideas. So Matsuichi. And this is just the layout, so you can tell what's going on. You can't really tell right now because it's covered in snow, but the common people have gotten to snow removal. They actually scooped out a lot of the snow out of the way, and your feet packed down the rest. Now, There is a day after the last day of the snowstorm, so it's not immediately. It's like 5 days pass from when the message happens. The blacksmiths do use this quite a bit. Then the sword in this lockbox gets brought over to here on the opposite side of this area. There's a torii gate. There's actually 4 posts that are carved. And then it's like, wishing well or good luck or strong mind and will for the people who are using the forge. It is a stout stone building. And built into the wall on the far side is a very large furnace. Opposite this furnace on either side, next to troughs and whatnot, which are kind of frozen over at this point, by the way. They didn't keep it too warm in here because no one's been out there for the last couple of days. They usually can run their metalworking on this side, and all the supplies are on this side, right? With this being kind of like a walk-through straight kind of here. But they also have doors that can cover this and whatnot. They had doors up. But the doors usually they kind of pull off and get put to the side, really, so you can just walk right through it. It gets hot in there because this furnace puts out a shit ton of heat. You guys actually are not planning on using that forge. There is an outside area, and they have like a small pedestal forge. It's got a stone and masonry base that's only about 2 feet off the ground. And on top of that, freestyle in the snow, you have to dig it out, is an old rusty anvil. It's smooth on the top part because people still use it, but you can tell the bottom part's slowly getting rust. The ones on the inside are kept beautifully by comparison. On the other side, by these 2 things you see, there are smelting furnaces, just like this guy is. This is made of stone, and he's built into the building. These 2 are like those stone and clay cone furnaces, and weirdly enough, on top, you kind of laugh when you see this, they're kind of covered by a jingasa. There's some old painted jingasa that's put up there, and they pull them off to fire up the thing, and then they put them back when they're done using it, so that people don't get rain and slush on the inside. Mm-hmm. If you've heard about the steel salt method, they smelt down ore with these, and then they use really masterful forging techniques here. These doors are big enough that 2 people can walk through them at the same time. Out here on the outside, those are pine trees, by the way. Mm-hmm. 2 ladies show up. One is a very healthy-looking woman. The other one looks to be a 12 or 13-year-old girl. But they're both wearing Shigenja's robes and carrying scroll cases. And they are Kitsune. They are not Fox Clan. Then there is a young Fox Clan boy that shows up, and he is wanting to be a blacksmith, but congratulations, his skills aren't the par, so he's pretty much just going to be an assistant to all the group. Mm-hmm. The mother and child introduce themselves, and then they go about to making this 8 diagrams wheel out here. In the center, they bring out the sword.
I do believe that one of the concerns or notes that Akakyoku made was that even the Shigenja should be also low prestige.
You have to kind of tell the fox woman this because she's a mother. She likes to watch over her kids. But you have to tell the fox woman, please stand over here and do not participate. You may watch. And then the rest of you guys, we have the Kitsune, the other...
I don't know if advice is going to affect the preferences of the ritual. There's a risk to either side.
We do not want to see this curse kick back on someone during the disenchantation process.
The less involved you are, the safer they are.
Putting the sword in the center. The funny thing is the sword gets a purification ritual too. As we saw earlier, the sword kind of smokes a little when you do that. You being you've brought some burlap along, so you have to touch it directly. Yep. Mm-hmm. You're handling it through burlap and...
forge gloves too.
Yeah, forge gloves. You also there's a slashing of a wood plank. Might as well be just a fragment of wood. And that is what you're balancing the thing on when you bring it to the center. The wood is cherry wood or cedar wood. Its material does not disrupt the diagram. 13-year-old girl. She has been rehearsing previously and looking over her notes and stuff like that. She's very low ranking. She is going to do what we call an extended roll. What happens with extended rolls is 0. She is just running 2 dice. Accumulated successes are a thing. Let me show you how this works. She does her first roll at enacting the 8 diagrams where she disenchants the sword. Nice. She got a 12, which beats a 10. The sword can try to snap back at her, but because she's rank 0, it can only keep 1 plus your school rank. Huh. It's sucking buttermilk and it ain't. The mechanics of the sword are now exposed, and we all know that this girl with a rank 0 actually has what it takes to take on this sword. She kind of backs away from that and says, It was trying something, but it didn't know where to find me. That's what I felt. It didn't know where to find me. She gets to roll again. Oh, she's kind of worried. You may want to reinforce her.
How do I reinforce?
Acts follow roleplay in L5R quite a bit. She's kind of on the scared side. She's dealing with a cursed sword, and she has minimal experience being a Shigenja. Yep. Her confidence may need reinforcing.
Yep.
So you may want to actually just, cheer her on some way.
I just tell her, just keep in mind, that sword's probably more scared than you are right now.
That's not going to count toward the successes there. She actually yelps, turns into fox form, and hides behind here. The sword is laying there, looking all as smug as an inanimate object can look. The mother steps forward as if to defend the child against the sword.
You stay put.
Yeah. So
I'm probably back there somewhere.
Yeah. So you guys will. You're somewhere between here, keeping the mother here, on keeping her from diving any further. So she went this far, but you brought her back. It's going to take an additional hour. So here's hours counting off. An additional hour to get the fox girl, get unscared, to get her back in human form, to get her confident and breathing steadily again.
And to check, was it only a mental attack? It wasn't a...
She's not bleeding or anything.
Yeah.
The
sword just spooked her.
The sword essentially lashed out at her and told her, get the hell away. Technically, looking at the stats there, she's not even in completing step 1 yet. Mm-hmm. I mean, she can accumulate successes, but... And I'm going to roll where's a really cosmic dice? Please roll high. Fuck. 2 hours have been lost in the day so far. Mm-hmm. Time to start doing this again. Gee, I wonder how many void points she has. Fuck. Total of 5. Nasty little sword. Mm-hmm. Hey! No 10s.
But it's still 9.
Still a 9. Get away from me, little girl. Hour trying, hour lost.
Anything I can do to help, knock this sword so you go down?
The sword is operating on some pretty low power right now. The one thing that's suffering, first of all, her rolls are really sucking buttermilk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's shit rolling, dude. God hope this sword doesn't roll a 10. Extremes of rolling! So, hey, I'd be glad to hear that there was no 10 on it printed on any of these dice. The sword is trying, but it pretty much thinks it has in the bag where it kind of doesn't. So there's a 10.
Yeah. 2 hours lost, but as we get into this, it seems like it's still continuing. I'm trying to figure out how to encourage her. It's hard to know. I have no idea about the Shigenja side of things, honestly, but I do know that it sounds like the sword is battling back.
The little boy speaks up and says, "My master always told me, in times of greatest chaos, when you're not sure of where you stand, let go. Use your mind, but there is no mind."
Keep advising on void place.
Next hour, at least she gets to keep all that, right? God, she actually made some magic spark, and there's a kami that actually appears in the area. The 8 diagram things actually all light up. 17 for a total of 27 so far. That's actually pretty nice.
I'm actually going to be trying to take some notes about this so I can pass it on to the elders.
I like the fact that your character is constantly taking notes on things. You'd be amazed how often that little detail slips. I guess he's going to be publishing a book later. Mm-hmm. So she tried for a void point and felt really good about it. With all confidence, she's going into her next and second roll. Barely holding on.
Mm-hmm. Is there a way that I can support mechanically wise that either gives a reroll or a buff or a bonus? I'm just trying to figure out how
you can support her.
How I can support.
There is actually a stat called leadership where you can roll and add to bonuses to other guys. But leadership is an advantage in Legend of the Five Rings. And then later additions, it became an actual skill. Mm-hmm. You can try... Do you have any Shintao skill as well?
No, I don't know. Shintao.
You have Shintao. You're probably actually more capable of encouraging this girl than he is, weirdly enough.
I'm great on the second bit, but not the first bit here.
Let me see if the sword fucks things up.
1, 2,
dude,
5. 8,
the kami are on our side. The sword essentially was like, nah. But she's also not scared about that. She's like, they're at edge. Guess what? She doesn't get to keep her 5, but she doesn't get to lose everything either. Mm-hmm. So she's holding her own. If you want to roll Shintao plus awareness, you're expressing yourself as a person to another person, right? You can roll this, and if you beat a basic 15, you have given her the insight to be a better craftsman that day. That's a 19, so you beat that. She will get to roll an extra dice and not keep it. In a moment of zen, she rolls. Come on.
No.
It's a 10.
10, but no 10.
Would it help 5-year-old her stuff?
It probably would. She's not a 13-year-old heroic legend. She's a 13-year-old amateur. She actually kind of overcame the sword. So at 10, now sitting at 37 total. We are running out of daylight, though. Guess who's spending a void point? Her last one of the two she has. Oh, shit, and Shinola. Good thing she has a void point, right? Son of a bitch.
9.
No!
Transistor right now. Yeah, well, at least you know it's only one of them, so yep.
No!
Go ahead and roll next.
Oh, fuck a duck. The sword actually jumps up and stabs the wood.
Okay, yep.
And as a result...
I step forward and I throw a bottle of sake at it.
Roll a dice! Roll a single dice right here. Try to aim at my finger. You missed my finger.
Oh.
Poof! There's a bunch of flame and stuff. And the sword is now on fire. The fox girl has gone back behind the forge again. And she's like, help me, the sword is nasty as shit and I don't know what to do about this. Guess who's fresh out of void too and is just on her bottom rung?
I'll sit down and read some scripture with her.
You want to do a meditation ceremony? Meditate together? Okay,
Yeah.
this mechanic happens. You can roll meditation to collect void.
I can help with that.
Got bad news for you guys.
Yeah, it's gonna. We're not gonna make it tonight. This is probably gonna. We're probably gonna have to step back and try this again tomorrow.
I don't want to kill our session by having us completely re-roll endless days of doing this.
Yep.
I want you guys to roll your meditation plus void. Roll it out here so I can see it. Let's see what you guys got.
Oh, sorry, Class K2.
Oh, you guys see 10s.
10, 10.
So 10 and 8. You may want to re-roll that
I'm
one.
going to re-roll 2.
9.
Okay, 19 and another 10.
What is this, dude? You are the master at meditation, aren't you?
21, 19.
40. You rolled a 40.
I rolled a 40.
Matsuichi is the lord of meditation right now. And you're not doing too bad with an amazing 27. 40, 27. She's almost in Akakyoku territory here. Not quite. Okay. She actually feels really good about this. You're going to have to start again tomorrow. What is your rank in Shintao?
3.
And you have an intelligence of 3 and a void of 2?
Yeah.
You are qualified to be a priest, sir. You want to do priestly duties?
Yeah.
You're going to have to go through all your notes and pull out a copy of the Book of Shinsei and look through it for a bit.
I'll have to get a book of Shinsei.
Yeah.
Because I don't own my own copy.
Here's what I'm going to do, because otherwise we're spending forever.
That's just the way dice work sometimes.
Day one.
Not that I saw, but...
Cool. And are there any ones where we can proxy out for better? Proxy out this for this. Your prayers help. What happens is you guys get an idea of have the first part of the day be we do our best to get step 1 done. We meditate. Then with focusing as no mind as possible, we try to get the second stage done. Mm-hmm. And then the third stage is coming, because there's 3 different stages. This is a long process. This takes 3 weeks. 3 weeks is pretty good for an amateur. You're going to make some rolls at the time, too. Make a roll at TN 15 to disassemble the sword after you're past stage 2. That's a 6.
It was a 10, I think? No, that's a 3. Sorry.
That's an 8.
Okay, so I have an 8
3,
and a 9. I
4,
keep 3, so...
7, 8, 9. Karmic die. That beats a 15.
Yep.
So, you're able to disassemble the sword and you realize something. The sword is a combination of really fine metal and really shitty metal. Then you also realize the primary carriers of the curse is the pommel of the sword. Firing up one of those, like actually improvising a kiln instead of using one of the proper furnaces around here.
At some point after 3 days, I'll start setting that up.
And then just yeet that thing in there and just let it roast down. Because it's made of brass, it's not made of steel. So it's going to melt way faster. The next roll. Here's the fun part. You get to roll a TN25, the same thing. If you fail your roll, there is an escape save possible, but it has a half of a TN of either 20 or 30. That's probably doesn't happen though. You have the luck advantage, so let's keep that in mind.
And I'll use a void point. Do I use a void point after the roll or before the roll?
It's with the roll. It comes with the roll.
So basically before I know the result of my roll.
Yes. To use a void point after you make the roll is actually a special ability.
Oh, cool. I can't change the target number after I've used luck, right?
What would you be raising for? Because honestly speaking, at this point, you might as well just try to get the job done.
To basically isolate the curse, the curse part, where the brain is, right? Mm-hmm. Basically deconstructing figuring out magic swords more. Getting more information on how cursed swords and magic swords work.
I wouldn't raise for that. Just be attentive and watch things as a character. Go ahead and give it a roll.
Oh, I don't see a 10.
There's a 10 here.
Okay.
That's a 6. These dice are beautiful, but they are hard to read.
I think that's still...
There's a void point in there, right?
Oh, there is a void point, so I get the 6 too. Which means I hit 25. Add that. 38. Right? 20, 38. Yep.
38. Not bad. 38 beats 25 by kind of bit. So, what were your inherent raises after that? So, there were 2 raises in there, technically. I'll give you this. The thing that you notice about the magic and involving the sword, conduits, conductivity. Resonation on one part resonates with the other one. There is a chunk of relatively filthy metal that actually has a bit of oiliness to it. You see boil out when you're trying to smelt the sword. And that's something you start to think of. Do you want to actually try to smelt away the finer metal from the foul metal?
It would be an opportunity to try and forge a new sword.
And you're realizing that it's that oily piece of metal communicating back and forth to the very end of the pommel that's causing the curse to work as well. That
You probably wouldn't be able to make a full-size sword.
It would be half the metal.
What about arrowheads?
No. No, I'm not. I'm not turning one cursed sword into a bunch of little tiny cursed swords. I'm going to keep it as one piece. I want to focus on removing the cursed parts of the metal.
Oh,
getting that
absolutely.
condensed out first, and then
besides some ugly smoke and bad smell in the air, smelting out that one chunk of bad steel that was in the tip of the blade, you're able to actually get the equivalent of 23 ounces worth of high quality metal out of this. There's a good chunk of garbage metal. Per Ubukiya's instructions, that bad metal just gets smelted down into a snot-looking nugget and is ready to be disposed of in like the deep sea or something.
Actually, you know what would work? Clay.
Clay does work, yes.
throw away clay.
Find some poor quality clay. So the good news is not only were you able to disenchant and melt down the sword with the help of a very scared and now very experienced and scarred 13-year-old girl who probably has a future ahead of her, you actually do have
23 ounces, yeah.
Yeah, you have 23 ounces of quality silvery metal. This can be made into a fine quality item of some kind.
I'll take the opportunity to still forge it into a sword.
Okay.
Because the forge is available. The metal at this point needs to be turned into something if I'm going to take that opportunity now. Otherwise, it's going into the ingot.
So we'll put that on the docket of things for you to do.
We got the sword handled. I'm going to request / demand / plead whatever will work to get me some kind of guidance and any advice they can give. If they want anything specifically done as far as information sharing or any of that.
Well, you guys are still having your appointments so you can actually convey information. First of all, the person who, of course, picks up the line after the next thing.
Probably the first thing they say is, what the hell took me so long?
Remember Tsukimimi? The air adept? She's essentially a higher rank air Shugenja.
Yeah.
She
outranks me.
Yeah, she outranks a lot of people, but still. She does hear the news about what happened between the Mantis and the Fox, and is more than a little perturbed about that, and says, I will have to reach out to see what has to be done about that.
Is there a way we can pass actual images back and forth through this? Like, can I
But
pass
she can
my
see
notes?
you and you can see her. You can't pass the information physically so she gets a copy.
Yeah.
What you can do is
Dictate it out.
you can dictate it or you can visually show it to her so she can like look at it, write it down, look at it, write it down. You know, you don't have Xerox machines.
I'll show her that picture. This
That-
happened on this day, X number of days ago.
She looks at that and the first thing that comes out of Tsukimimi's mouth is, how are the fox going to survive? What we know about the Mantis is that they're not known for being exceptionally nice.
I don't think they will if it comes to actual warfare. We need to find some solution that doesn't involve that because I don't see a way for them to be able to survive. We just don't have the numbers.
Yeah. Tsukimimi does say something that sounds a little bit controversial. She says, if we could get the right Phoenix Clan army down there fast enough, we could probably defeat the Mantis ourselves. But that would default the situation.
That means we're stepping in to protect them, not them protecting themselves.
That does mean that, doesn't it?
Which is why I asked for guidance. I probably said more than I should have.
Akakyoku, I really hope you get to hold your job down there.
Hey, I wouldn't mind going up and being an envoy to the Scorpion Clan instead. I might see my friends.
At this point, I'm going to knock on your door. I know that you're like talking, so I'm just waiting for an
Oh yeah, you know he has his appointments.
Could I ask you to relay a message?
I was planning on it, yes.
Cool. I need to transfer a message to the Master Bear.
Assuming you already talked about this with me earlier.
I think it'd be more funny if I just pop in about it, really, like casually. Yeah.
I don't know. Would it be hard for me to hold a pretty much a talisman conversation and have this conversation with it?
Yeah, what you see how this works is that the scroll involved isn't even powered by you. The other Fox Clan Shigenja that we've mentioned gets the scroll part ready on her part. She casts a spell and it's her spell scroll. You're just holding it, looking into it.
Alright.
It's like she does the spell and then passes it to you so you may enjoy the benefits of the spell. Usually, though, you can't pass spell scrolls under a lot of circumstances.
Yeah, this is unusual.
Gotta wait for it. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm just gonna leave this out here, and I just slide it next to you and like walk out.
So he slides a message.
It is a message to the Master Bear. I apologize for my departure so soon after your arrival. If I may humbly ask of you to let my friend Orochi Tsuruchi know that he should advise his clan to take conservative actions in matters where the Mantis interact with the Fox Clan. Also, congratulations on your success during the Go tournament.
That hasn't actually happened yet,
Nope.
has it? I'm going to look at this accolades with absolute confusion. Says, I don't know what's going on with this.
This individual, this Orochi, they're in Phoenix Clans right now? Does the message actually have where the location of this Mr. Orochi in the letter?
I would say that generally to the Master Bear, who will be at the Morning Glory Castle at this certain date near the end of Winter Court. Also a secondary message, Orochi Tsuruchi. So I'll include that information as notes on the side, just because I don't know how magical messages work and how much different it is from like letters and mail.
Welcome to Rokugan, where we do not have internet.
Where we do not have phone lines.
Basic phone lines would do a shit ton of awesome sauce for Rokugan. However, they've not been invented yet. What happens is Tsukimimi says, okay, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get you a full set of instructions. We're going to still keep in touch. It is our expressed desire also to make sure you do not die and that we get you back.
I am not that important.
You will be the person that has the first count of these events, therefore we'll want to have you as part of the history.
If war does break out, can I arrange for civilian populations to be transshipped to Phoenix Clan lands?
It's too far away. We are on the other side of the country. We can accept refugees, but getting them here is going to be a pain. The Crane are more likely to take care of those. It's probably best to have the civilians find some way to survive in the forest without being pilfered off by some form of enemy.
Valid.
If they have the capacity to survive in the woods, they can stay in the woods. Tsukimimi outright tells you, I don't have much more guidance to give you other than we must continue speaking about these topics. Now that it's gone to a very high possibility of war, we have no choice but to keep understanding the situation and see what we can help as much as possible.
I will put forward the suggestion I had about the Imperial House potentially stepping in.
Akakyoku is still on site, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Very well. Keep in touch with him and see if he can get any plan he has to work. Tsukimimi does bow to you and says, I will take all this into consideration.
I would let them know that Doppelganger sword is being taken care of as we speak.
Tsukimimi is very pleased to hear that, but she's also thinking, well, that's really good for you guys. The Doppelganger swords didn't go very far north. They're mostly a plague in the south.
I am actually going to bring up the fact that the Scorpion representative that showed up
Yes.
knows the man who held the sword
Ah. Well, that's unique.
by name.
That was unique as well. Have you thought about making conversation with the Scorpion at all?
I just haven't had an opportunity. I do admit that is a failing on my part.
Don't worry, she says. Did you already pass along the message, or do we skip that one part?
His message?
His message.
Yes, I had already passed. It would have been the last thing I did.
Okay.
I don't know how this person knows the Master of Air, but he had a message for me to pass to the Master of Air, evidently.
Barring anything important that you guys would want to do before the next 2 weeks came across, I mean, you are spending most of your days finishing this shit with the sword, and you have a few days that are spare after that.
It's probably recovery days.
Yeah. For the most part, we can take it to the next message with this Phoenix if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Guess who's on the horn this time around?
The Master of Air.
Yes.
Of course. And the first thing out of my mouth is, greetings, Master of Air. What did that fool actually mean?
I see you've been intercepting some very interesting messages from people that I'm unaware that we have communicated with. It is fun. She's kind of more to the point this time around than she was last time. I've gotten the message. I've made plenty of thought about this. Your instructions will be as follows. First of all, you are to support the Fox in this affairs. The Mantis do not have our blessing with this. We are to support the Fox as much as possible. And speaking of that, the message is to tell one of the Tsuruchi family to convince one of the other Tsuruchi family to not pile on to the Fox. That sounds like a very plausible idea. I don't know why I should delay the message. I think it'd be possible to actually contact him and ask him to send a letter of recommendation to his uncle.
I think that actually was kind of the message, but I don't know what their communications are like.
One of my acolytes of air is presently at Morning Glory Castle, where I do believe this individual is staying. So we're going to go ahead and send a message to him, and pray the message gets to the chosen recipient, and that we may get a message from the chosen recipient and send it along to his esteemed relative.
How long has it been? Have we completely destroyed that sword by now?
Oh yeah, the sword has been destroyed.
Then I'd also send her that. Have I actually had a talk with that Scorpion rep?
You haven't talked to the Scorpion Clan guy yet, no.
Alright, I will ask them if it's a smart idea. Obviously, it probably is, but...
So you have a small conversation with Bayoshi Yoshinobu about Wada of Nihai, and here's what he generally says. First of all, his memory of Wada of Nihai is the guy was a good man, actually. Keep that in mind. First of all, he started out small. He was the son of a headman. He wanted to do more than just farm stuff. He became good at storytelling. And he became very good at telling other stories. If you wanted to hear stories from outside the Scorpion lands, he was actually interested in going out and getting other stories. What confuses Yoshinobu about this is that Yoshinobu doesn't know of any instance in which madness or any kind of mentality, he does know.
One thing before I do this, I would actually ask the Fox if it was okay to discuss the sword with this guy.
We haven't included that in the conversation so far. You're just talking with the Scorpion.
I know, that's why I was asking.
This Fox thinks about it for a second, and then you get one from Morosugu. Tactically, we might as well hide that information.
Okay.
But if he probes for it, don't worry about it too much, and don't try to hide it too much.
Got it. I will ask if he was some kind of a swordsman.
He has no sword skill whatsoever. He was essentially a civilian.
Okay.
Wait, so it would have been illegal for him to have a sword?
Yeah. Here's one thing to note. The Scorpion law regarding not so much stories, but regarding...
Histories.
Yeah.
Folk tale.
History or any kind of lesson. if they thought that you were anti-Scorpion, they could drag you in for that. And so that's the thing about Wada of Nihai, is he was considered an anti-Scorpion type for a short period of time. And so he was taken not into prison, but the Shoshuro watch had their hands on him for a little bit. During that time period, nothing bad happened. Like, he didn't go insane from it. He didn't come out for any worse for wear. It's very plausible that as a result of this, he may have done something that the Scorpion don't know about. Shoshuro thought they had shaken him down far enough, but no one ever came in and did a second try, where they asked exactly, what is Wada doing with his time now? Did he have a grudge?
I don't have enough information on Wada.
Neither do I, says Yoshinobu. He says, this is the question here. What do you know about how he ended? Because this is all I know. I know, most of all, first of all, that Wada of Nihai was a benefit to the Scorpion lands, if not Rokugan as a whole.
The Foxes received a report of a madman attacking someone.
So starting back from the beginning, you tell him that Wada was essentially rampaging for some reason.
Yeah. Literally out of his mind. His body was literally rotting.
Rotting? Like Shadowlands taint style rotting?
I haven't actually seen...
You've seen textbooks.
Matsuichi would have insisted that it was.
Yeah. It was not a textbook example of Shadowlands rot.
What would ever cause Wada to go anywhere near the Shadowlands?
As far as I can tell, he never has. He did spend some time around the forest of Zakyo Toshi.
Which is where he likely started going mad. He then traveled south to Kyoto, and then east from there to Maedochi.
Yoshinobu says, I know Zakyo Toshi. I have business there. I maintain records for the prison there, on top of the one maintenance I mentioned earlier. There are a lot of activities that go on in Zakyo Toshi that I wish didn't go on, but there are other Scorpion interests in Zakyo Toshi that have more influence than I do.
Where was Wada arrested?
That's a valid question. When was he arrested? Where was he held?
I have the answers to that question. The arrest was 5 years ago.
Okay.
And the arrest was in the Bayushi capital. So Kyuden Bayushi and the surrounding city that came from Kyuden Bayushi was literally where he was dragged in and where he was kept at that time.
How far away is that from the city we believe he started going mad in?
Zakyo Toshi is on the border of Shinmen Forest. Almost 100 kilometers eastward, you have the Kyuden Bayushi.
Okay.
So they're not congruent. One of these is the capital of the Scorpion territories in the center of Scorpion lands, whereas Zakyo Toshi is literally a recently conquered territory.
I'm going to try to find out pretty much what his entire life was like when he was arrested and what he was like after.
Records of what he was like after is where they have holes. He pretty much told you what Wada was doing. Instead of becoming a farmer, essentially, he got into storytelling, and of course he did enough investigation. He was able to tell other people's stories.
What was he doing in Zakyo Toshi?
He lived in Zakyo Toshi.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wait, no. He lived in Nihai.
He came from Nihai.
Yeah, he came from Nihai.
So he was
What was he doing in Zakyo Toshi?
Could have been just traveling, but a weird place to travel to.
Yoshinobu will point at you guys and say, excuse me, but Zakyo Toshi was brought up by you guys. That's my question to you. How does Zakyo Toshi figure in the Wada's life?
A parchment I retrieved from the body specifically stated he went to Zakyo Toshi, this city and this city.
We assumed it started in Zakyo Toshi because...
That's where the notes led off to.
It sounds like Zakyo Toshi would be a great place to investigate about this. There are more pressing matters, but seeing as we may have to go to Zakyo Toshi anyway to pick up some interesting supplies for war, I will definitely think about going on the trail of Wada of Nihai, considering that man had no reason to die a screaming madman in a village somewhere. I have a good question. So this is the conversation. Do you want touch on anything about Wada of Nihai with Yoshinobu, or is this going to be it? How about this? Let's call this here. If you can't think of it, it didn't come in the conversation.
Yeah.
This session will end with a little bit of note. There is going to be a meeting that the Fox Clan is going to be holding 1 month before the end of Winter Court.
Okay.
And it's going to be one of those meetings where they're going to be talking about important stuff while you guys are in a different room.
I'm actually going to let them know that yes, I have received information from the clan and direction, and it is to give them full support. If possible, I would like to be in that discussion as an observer.